like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. Webinars are brought to you as a membership benefit of Heritage Ohio. Heritage Ohio's mission is to help people navigate live better. Today we'll have a presentation on Main Street Public Network and some best practices thereof. We'll be taking questions at the end of the presentation and throughout. If you have a question, please type it into the question box at any time. Most issues will be solved. Close the program. We started with the link that was sent to you. And with that, I'll hand it over to Joe.
Hi, everybody. So glad you could join us this afternoon as we go through our Main Street Board Member 101. I have Nicole Fowles here with Main Street Delaware.
Well, hi, Frank.
Hi. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, sure. I am Nicole Fowles. I currently work at the Delaware County District Library. I'm the communications manager there. And I've been with the library for about 6 years now. I also am a current board member on the Main Street Delaware's program. Board member, past president. I've been the organizational committee chair for the past 3 years as well. And just kind of as we talk more today, you'll learn that I am a great lover of community and collaborations, and I like to call myself a professional bringer to giver. And what that basically means is helping people find their resources, helping people realize what their needs are and putting them in touch with the resources that can get them the fulfillment of those needs.
Wonderful. And I'm Frances Jo Hamilton, the Direct Revitalization Heritage Ohio, and most recently the ex-executive director of Delaware's Main Street program. And Nicole and I've known each other for a long time, so I really appreciate you coming and doing a little thing for incoming, existing, or pondering folks.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here. So I'll let you know.
What made you want to be involved with the Main Street organization?
Well, basically, these fun little kids you see on the side here are where I work at the Delaware County District Library. The little boy in the bottom line is one of my favorites. He was at a yoga program, and they were warming up their mouth muscles, and so that was that he struck a pose whenever they were doing that. But I've been involved with the library for about 6.5 years, or 5.5 years, and when I first got involved, the Main Street organization was looking for some new board members. We were looking for some new volunteers. They had done some specific acts of the community, and I'll talk more about that later. But they had gone to the library as a nonprofit partner and just as a community partner in general. My boss at that time was actually quite over-involved, and I was not. And so she said, Nicole, I think this would be a good opportunity for you. So I had the chance to the executive director and learn some more about the organization. At the time, I only knew what was superficial. I only knew the big public events, and then getting the chance to talk one-on-one with the staff, I was able to go deeper and realize this was really a great collaboration that would work for me both personally and professionally.
Great. So what kind of training or support was in place or useful in your journey from volunteer to executive board member?
So we had a board member orientation that was already in place. And as part of that board member orientation, we talked about a couple of different things. We talked about expectations of time, financial involvement, just in general volunteerism. We also talked about when our communities met. One of the major things that I think is good to know up front in an organization is knowing what you're getting yourself into. Do I need to have $1,000 ready to give to this organization, or 50? Do I need to give one board member meeting a year, one a month, or is it more hungry or showy, or is it just something that you really get invested in? And those are really good to know up front. In addition to that, you need to have a signed agreement, really lays out those clear expectations, and it's a good way for you as a board member to know that yes, that's what I agreed to, and also for you to hold yourself accountable to the organization. Finally, we also in that had a self-evaluation tool, which is a way for you to let the organization know what your strengths are. You might have a hidden knowledge of a little bit of design. You might have a hidden knowledge of conservation history. You might not know that you have a master's degree in architecture. And so those are all really good things that you can let your organization know. And so you can use that in the self-evaluation tool. I personally also got a lot of benefit out of the Heritage Ohio list. Once I was on the board and I was looking to get more deeply involved in that, I went on to heritageohio.org, and there's a tab there called Knowledge Base, and then you can click on Main Street Knowledge Base. Tons of example documents there. So I just kind of dug through all of those documents and looked through them very carefully and said, what are we doing and what could we be doing better? So that's a tool that exists right now. You can go to that website and you can take advantage of it. The other part is trainings, and there are plenty of trainings, and you're taking part in one right now. So you are giving yourself opportunities to be educated on new ideas, things you could be working on, and like I said, there are webinars and then also plenty of in-person ones. We went to conferences, and we also got to travel around the state and always take advantage of those revitalization series.
That's great. And so that all of you know, Heritage Ohio does take suggestions on training topics and things that might be of use to you. That's one of the reasons why we decided to do this Board Member 101.
Perfect.
So what rules do you have to follow?
Well, this fun picture is my deputy director at the library, and this is just a fun anecdote about kind of why, what impact Main Street can have on your work life. I know that at the time, Fran had gone to another community and was doing an evaluation of that community and what kind of message they were sending to their people. And she came back and she said there were signs that said no everywhere, no standing, no loitering, no roller skating. And it just overall put a really negative perspective on newcomers to that town. People every day might not have noticed it, but if you're a person there on that first day, you'd say, well, geez, I can't do anything here. As soon as she said that, I went back to our library, I walked in our main door, and we had this sign that Dawn's holding that says no loitering, no skateboarding, no rollerblading, no bicycling.
No fun.
No fun. No fun at the library. And so we, etc. Yeah, who knows what else you cannot do here. So we went ahead and we took that down. So it's good to know your rules up front. We at the Main Street Delaware organization are required to give our time to 2 First Fridays. We do 12 out of the year. And so we ask, and it doesn't have to be from 6 to 9 or 5 to 10. It can just be a portion of that evening where help is needed. We also ask that you be a contributing member of the organization. And beyond that, we ask that you are on one committee and that you attend our monthly board meetings at the Heritage Ohio accreditation level of 75%. So we make that very clear up front. And board giving can be different from town to town. At our level, it's very minuscule, but we have a lot of time involvement that we ask of our folks. At other communities, it might be a higher giving level that's being asked, and maybe that can be supplemented with work giving as well.
Sure. Mm-hmm. In kind, always taking in kind.
Exactly.
So how is the board the face of the Main Street program, and how and why does this happen?
Well, first of all, hopefully it happens intentionally. As soon as you become a board member, it is always a good idea to walk into your downtown businesses and say, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Nicole. I'm a Main Street board member. Those individuals cannot know enough of what you do for your downtown. It makes it very nice then when an individual who might be combative or difficult, when they come back and they say, no one ever comes and visits me, that you can say, actually, as a board member, I came and introduced myself to you just last month. And, you know, if you and your 10 other, 20 other board members are also doing that, then that individual is never going to have that opportunity to say that Main Street doesn't care about me. So that is the first thing. I would definitely make it intentional. Go into your businesses. You know, that could be a part of your business enhancement committee's job, but that could be a part of your organization committee job. Make it a goal for you this year. Also, think about your social media impact. We recently had an incident in the city of Delaware where an individual who was on a city board was talking negatively about a campaign that the city was running. And free speech, I'm all for it. I'm a former journalist, and so I completely am okay with that. But if you need to talk negatively about the organization that you represent, it might be wise to consider representing a different organization. With that said, if you are all for your organization, then talk away. Take pictures, put them on Instagram, put them on Facebook. People can see that you're involved and you love this organization. If you don't have a social media line added to your board member agreement, something like board members will apply themselves and conduct themselves in a positive manner when talking about the downtown or the downtown organization, I would definitely advise adding one. Again, from the incident that our city went through, they are considering that right now because it was not a part of their agreement.
Absolutely. It's so important that we're all singing the same song when you're a part of any organization. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how does the board member role affect your or complement your work life and your personal life?
Yes.
I love this picture, by the
way. This is a first Friday that we have called Pet Walk. We encourage people to bring their dogs downtown and then go into a lot of our, it shows off that we have a lot of dog-friendly and pet-friendly businesses. So that's me sitting there taking a picture. That's my friend Lizzie, who is volunteering beside me. She's holding a squeaky toy to keep the dog's attention. That is my friend Anthony, who is standing there on the far right of the photo, and he had two jobs. Anthony helped to place kind of a numbering system that we had behind the dogs, and then he also was on baby watch because in the playpen beside me is my 7-month-old at that time. So it can completely be a family affair. I would recommend it to be a family affair. I'm sure your Main Street, just as ours, is just as family friendly to the community. You probably have fun girls' night programs, but you also probably have good things for kids too. So I mean, that just shows that you can bring the whole family out. I didn't have much of a choice that night with the babysitter because I was utilizing my babysitters as my help as well. So, you know, what I would like to say is that board members can be underutilized and undervalued. So I would just suggest that you think about your strengths, those things that we talked about in the early, you know, board member orientation. What can you give? Who knows what you can do? Sometimes you might work at a bank, and so people immediately put you into a role of accounting or treasurer or something like that. But you might have a rock band, and so we didn't know that. You and your other bank friends, you know, have the rock bank band. And so, you know, you could have a talent of setting up sound for different events. So it's those kind of things that, again, are underutilized that you need to let your staff know, your executive director know, so that you can take advantage of them. And also, in the complementary relationship, think about your employer and how you are adding a service to what your employer provides as well through your volunteering and your boardmanship. At my library, it's very symbiotic. We have a policy that allows what we call embedded librarians in the community, which means that we want our librarians to be on boards. We want our staff members to be involved in community organizations because that works twofold. It gives us community involvement. It shows that the library cares about the communities where we live. But then it also gives us the opportunity to realize that sometimes those organizations might need library resources. They might need a place to host a meeting. They might need a specific book. They might need just another resource that we have a connection to. And with my library recognizing that, they allow me to give Main Street my time on company time, which I think is absolutely crucial. Again, if you're a board member and your organization that you work for-profit or non-for-profit, doesn't have something like this, talk to your employer and just kind of feel it out, see what they would think about that. What do you think about me volunteering or being on a board on work time? Start small. Don't go too crazy and say, I'm going to give 30 hours a month, but say, okay, if board meetings are on a Wednesday at 8 a.m., I know that's usually the work day, would I be able to still include that in my Wednesday workday schedule? It really will become a benefit to everyone in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, and we see so many people volunteering at our age in order to make friends, too. Mm-hmm. And I think we've made lots of friends across the state when it comes to Main Street programs as well.
Absolutely.
So how do you plan for succession or breaks when you might need them from the organization?
Yes. So some days you might think, wow, I've given 100 hours to Main Street this week alone. And you're thinking, well, I just need to go to Hawaii and have that Long Island or have that strawberry daiquiri. Plan for it. Put it into your board's policies. Have a succession plan. Have a try not to have your board members who are on the board forever, because they might not feel that way in the beginning, but after year 10, they will burn out. So give them the opportunity to be able to bow out without feeling like they are going to regret it, without feeling like they're going to be guilty about it. In Main Street, Delaware, we have 2 3-year terms that our board members can serve consecutively. At the end of the first 3-year term, of course, that we have a natural review process that says, do you want to continue on with a second term? That is one easy, what we call off-ramp. That is one easy way to say that, no thanks, this was fun, but I'm kind of done. And then even if the person is gung-ho about it, at the end of that second term, that 6th year, we really want to give them the opportunity to take some time away from the board, because that allows new people to come on, that allows them to take a break that they might even not know that they needed. And it just gives them a way to kind of also take a step back and look at the organization from a different viewpoint and maybe be a bit more critical, so that if they do decide, yeah, I want to come back on in 3 years, they'll have a whole new outlook on it. And also, staff and executive directors who are listening, think about a way to thank your board members that's meaningful to them. I'm sure over the amount of time that you've spent with them, you've gotten to know what they value. Fran knew that I loved a good IPA, so going out to a drink every once in a while was okay by me, and that worked for me. But you might have someone else who values something else, and so just think about a way to really show your appreciation to those individuals.
And I always tell organizations that it doesn't have to be so organized and structured, that thank you. Even if you're just sitting at your desk thinking about somebody and what they did for you the week before or even the month before, send an email, send a quick text message. You'll be really surprised at how much they appreciate just the simple fact that you were thinking about them and took the time to make contact that day.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the best practices for working with paid staff and differing management styles?
So I've got a couple different things that I'm going to suggest for this, and these come from things that I've learned through college, through work, through professional life, through community involvement, just a little bit of everything. But my number one thing for working with paid staff and differing management styles is patience. And just be patient, be merciful, have grace. Everybody's human, everybody has flaws, but the good thing is that hopefully you are all working toward a common goal. your organization should have a vision and mission statement, and it should be reviewed. And at the beginning of every year, or whenever you choose to review it, again, if you don't agree on what you're working toward, then you can't sing the same song. So if you find your common goal, that can help you get to the same outcome, even if you have differing styles. Another thing to think about is team building activities, and these don't have to be cliche icebreakers. They can be at the end of your board meeting or the beginning of your board meeting. Go around the room and ask for 3 good things that have happened in the past month. These really help to build a positive start to a meeting. They help to close a meeting that might have been difficult a little bit more positively, and so definitely something along those lines. Another thing that's good to consider that I would look into, maybe during an annual retreat or a board retreat or something along those lines, even if you do a group picnic sometime in the middle of the year, look into personality assessments for understanding your group needs. So most people have heard of Myers-Briggs. You can search the internet for those, and there are tons of freebies that are available online, and varying styles. You can take the 10-question Myers-Briggs test or the 150-question Myers-Briggs test. 3 ones that I've participated in, because we do a lot of staff development at the library, is there's one called Strengths Finder 2.0. It's a book written by Don Clifton. If you purchase the book on Amazon, which I think is about $10, then you get an access code, and you can go online to this Gallup Strengths Center website, and you can use that access code to take a quiz that helps you figure out what your strengths are. The theory in this philosophy is that it does you no good to enhance the things you're bad at, because someone else is probably good at those. So if you find what you're good at and you get better at it, then you're making yourself an expert in those areas, which I really like that philosophy. If you don't purchase the book, it's just the same. You can, I think it's $15, and you can get your top 5 strengths from that website. It's the same assessment, and it gives you a nice 10 to 15 page printout packet that lets you know what your strengths are. If the whole group does that together and then shares that, then you kind of know what you're working with. You know that, surprise, one of my strengths is cheerleader. You know, I'm a big advocate, and I will let everyone know when I support something. So that's great. I might be a good fit for promotions committee. You can look at what other people have in their skills as well. Another one is called DISC. The link here leads you to a DISC personality assessment. It's very quick, takes 15 minutes. This one calls itself, dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. What this basically means, it breaks down the same way as many of the other ones do, and you get a quick couple-page assessment at the end of that test as well. And then one that is fun that I think is more or less known than the others is called the Spectrum Temperament Development Model. I've been through 2 Spectrum trainings just by coincidence, and what it comes with is you answer different questions, and you kind of have percentages of these 4 different colors. There's orange, blue, gold, and green. And oranges tend to be more independent, greens tend to be more analytical, blues tend to be more emotional. Again, a lot of the same things, but what happens with this one is it tells you what you like and what you need to survive. And so an example is my color was orange, and oranges really value freedom. They really value not a traditional work schedule, the ability to change at a whim, and a little bit of spontaneity. So what's something that would be bad for that orange? Micromanagement. Somebody who says you need to be at your desk at 8 a.m. and you need to be out the door at 5 p.m. And I'm going to need to double check everything that you do. If you participate in any of these things as a board, I would really recommend you take close attention to what your executive director, what that work style is, so that you don't kill him or her. It really can suffocate an organization. So I would recommend any of those.
I love personality tests.
Right?
So what are some of the best practices for hiring new staff, and what can be done by the board in the interim after someone abandons you?
Yeah, I know. It's the worst when someone lets you go and just keeps the fires smoldering. Well, I would recommend that you first create an executive search committee. The committee should be small. I would recommend that it consist of voting members. Not that non-voting members aren't valuable. Of course they're valuable, but I think it makes it a easier pitch to the entire board if you have it consist of the voting members. But especially look for diversity, and I mean that in age. If you have young board members, include young and old. If you have different races on your board, include different races. If you have board members who represent different geographies within your organizational lines, include that as well, and especially include longevity on the board. Even a new, a search committee should not consist of just all of the old timers, because then how are some of the new ideas going to get through? So include a new board member, and then also think about representation as far as work life, owners, nonprofits, business owners, building owners, different things like that. So have a small committee, and then review some of the crucial documents that you're going to need going forward. Look at the job description, look at the job posting, and those are two items that are also available on that Main Street Knowledge Base website that I talked about earlier. So look at those two documents. If you don't have them, Main Street has, Heritage Ohio has plenty of resources for you. Also, look at your program financials. This could be a good opportunity for you to realize that you were either sinking under an old salary or you need to up your new salary. Heritage Ohio does a salary survey every few years, and this will be a really good opportunity for you to look and see if you're on par with the rest of the communities in the state. Also, think about, this just came to mind, the new federal regulation standards as far as exempt and non-exempt employees. I'm not a lawyer. I can't give any legal advice as far as that goes, but the standards have changed, and if you are under a specific threshold, then your employee is considered non-exempt and would be required to work 40 hours a week, and that can be difficult in a Main Street manager's work week, especially if there are specific events happening. We really liked to give our executive director flexible time, so that if we have First Fridays, if it's a First Friday week and you're really, really busy that week, that you can take it easy the next week. So look at the federal standards, talk to a lawyer. Hopefully someone will donate their time for you and you can take a look at that and make sure that you are not violating those federal standards. We came up with interview questions as a group, and we also came up with a contract proposal as a group. And I'm the biggest champion of Google Docs. This presentation that you're viewing now, we did on a Google Doc. Google Gmail is a free use program, so someone probably has a Gmail in the room that you're sitting in, and there are lots of things that are within it. There are docs that it's just like Google's version of Word. There's sheets that's just like that's Google's version of Excel, and PowerPoint and many other things like that. The good benefit to this is this and any cloud-based program like Dropbox and OneDrive is that they're live, so other members who are connected to the same documents or the same folder can go in and add information at the same time, and everybody sees it updating. It really saves you from having your inbox full of emails and full of attachments. 1,000 different drafts of the same Word document can really bulk up your email. So that's kind of one of the tools that I would definitely recommend. In the end, I would say that you don't all have to agree, and in fact, I think disagreements are healthy, and they bring a refreshing look at a new opportunity for things to change. I think hiring new staff should be viewed as an opportunity. because this is kind of the first excuse you can give whenever the public, asks a question, is that, we took a look at this under new eyes and we realized that, yeah, these vendor prices need to be increased, or yes, this particular First Friday theme was not working. And so we took that opportunity to change this with our new leadership. But I will say that while you do disagree, the one thing that you need to be clear on is giving new goals and specific goals to your director, because if you do not do that, you will have a new director who will be frustrated and confused and have too many differing opinions, and that is not something you want in a person who is starting fresh and probably already has eyes as wide as the dough.
Absolutely. One boss.
One boss.
One boss.
Yes.
What can the board do?
The board can help. The board can create a timeline to kind of give the search committee their goals, as far as, we really don't want to go more than 2 months with this, let's be aggressive, or we really think we need to take a minute to take a look at ourselves and then put this out to the public. Either of those could work, but one way or another, I would say set yourself a timeline and stick to it, because searches can go on forever and your organization can suffer if they go on too long. While you make that timeline, include in it some of the needs that you'll have. Okay, so if our executive director is gone on this day and we have a goal to have a new person hired within 2 to 3 months, we're going to have 3 First Fridays pass. We're going to have 16 committees pass. We're going to have this major event happen. So figure out what you're going to have happen, and then in the meantime, fill the gaps. Make a list. And use Sign Up Genius, use email, use Google, and work together to fill those gaps and to make sure that nothing gets lost in the cracks. You will also want to think about, keeping in touch with the public, keeping in touch with your volunteers, letting them know that yes, we're in this position of transition, but never fear, we are working toward a goal. And also, don't let your financials fall away. You'll still have bills that will need paid, and you'll still have invoices that will need sent, and different things like that. So make sure that your treasurer has help at that point, because that could really, really be scary for a treasurer who has no executive director, or a bookkeeper who has no guidance. But the group hug mantra is, no matter what, I would encourage everyone to stay united. You need to have one message, you need to have one front, and I would recommend that you have one spokesperson giving that message. The press will call. With the Delaware community, it was weekly that I was getting phone calls from our local paper asking where everything is. And as a nonprofit, you do not have to tell them the names of people who you are considering. It is a courtesy if you do so, but you can say generics. You can say, we received 53 applicants and we are in the process of narrowing the field. But you are not an organization that is required to adhere to public records requests, and so you do not have to give that information out. And I would recommend that you make that decision together as a team. You can give it if you want to, but you do not have to.
Good information. How can a board help prevent high turnover of staff?
Well, I think that high turnover could happen for a couple different reasons. Think about, again, the salary survey. Sometimes love can be stronger than pay, but sometimes money talks, and if a good opportunity, if even a decent opportunity comes knocking and you have an executive director who is unhappy, the pay increase could be what really drives the decision. Think about appreciation. Is your staff reporting to one person? Is your staff have too many cooks in the kitchen? If so, that can lead to an unhealthy work environment, and that can, again, cause someone to leave. Just do some brainstorming about yourself personally. Why would you leave a job? Your executive director is no different. But things that can help is, appreciation, recognition. I think the deadline is still open right now for the Heritage Ohio Awards that are presented every year. So, think about how you can recognize a great project that your program did, how you can recognize your manager and give them a Manager of the Year award. So all of these things really work together to make an executive director feel like the work that they're doing is valuable and that they are appreciated in everything that they do. And I think Fran can probably even add her own 2 cents to this as well, more than I can.
Well, we've had a lot of discussions about staff turnover because we have seen some staff turnover recently in some of the Main Street communities. The average longevity for a Main Street director at this point is about 3 years, which feels pretty high to me. So we are always looking at why do managers leave, and it's important for boards to keep in mind that you're already hiring your executive staff person. There's no promotion available for that person. There's no place for them to go. They're in that one position, and really the only thing you can do is plan for their future, help them to plan for their future. Nonprofits often fall into not making long-term plans for how they're going to increase staff or increase staff in the office, increase pay for the staff that's there, and the program then starts to flounder a little bit when managers feel like they've been stuck in the same spot for 5 years. Nobody wants to be stuck in their job. Mm-hmm. So I always say if you can have a great schedule that allows you to have the life that you love, a really awesome paycheck, or you're doing something that you're so passionate about that you couldn't not do it. But if you can combine any 2 of those 3 things, you've probably hit a good mark with your employee. All right. What does the right board member look like to you? Looks like a girl with a belt to me.
It looks like a girl on a really cold October day, ringing a meal bell, yeah, to come and get it. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is to, I mentioned it a couple of times, is to think about diversity within your board. And some of the things that I mentioned are things that you should consider during, again, a board retreat, or your organization committee can look at this while they are looking at potential new volunteers and new board members and executive committee members. So things that we considered included neighborhood, so geographic location. I live in the downtown area. I can walk to work, and I can walk to the downtown, so I kind of fill one point of that. But then it's also very good to have the opposite of that, someone who considers themselves Delaware resident, or who is a Delaware resident but lives, maybe more in the country. They have to drive downtown. They have different obstacles than I do, and so they bring a different viewpoint. Gender, definitely women and men at the table. Race, all colors, classes, sizes, everything like that coming to the table as well. Age especially, think about, it is very, very valuable to have someone on your board who has been there. And we have one on the Main Street board. It is great to hear from him because as we talk about problems like parking in downtown and how our meter maid has to kind of score tires with chalk, every few hours to make sure that the cars are turning over, and we have to do the city's doing these multi-$1,000 studies about how we can get better parking in the downtown. It's always nice to have that one board member who can say, 10 years ago we didn't have this problem. What a great problem to have, that so many people want to come to our downtown that they can't find a place to park. This is a good problem, So it's always really nice to have someone who has history and longevity on the board. And it's also good to have new people on the board because new people, young or old actually, just new to the board period, they can provide the outsider looks. Why does this happen? And asking why, in my opinion, is always a good thing because it makes you consider your answer. It makes you think about well, why do we do that? And if the answer is because we've always done it, then you need to come up with a better answer. Or if the answer is because we've always done it, then you need to come up with an and to that. We've always done it and it's worked, or we've always done it and people are always happy. I think that either of those are good answers to that. So board members can look very, very different. I love the board members who question everything. They can be frustrating. You know who they are. You are one probably, but I love them because it challenges the organization to say, you know, can we do this? Why do we do this? Why should we do this? And to go kind of deeper into those issues.
Great. And I love this question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite story about being a Main Street board member?
So this one actually just happened recently, more recently. I said I've been involved with Main Street for a couple, 4 or 5 years now, and you've seen maybe 1 or 2 pictures throughout, and I meant to update this one actually, so I had a better one. But my daughter was born in December of 2014, so she is just 2 now. And her first Christmas with Main Street was the December first Friday the next year, because she was born just after the one in 2014. So then her second first Friday with Christmas, it's a big deal in Delaware, and we have Santa who is in his house, and kids can go and visit him for free throughout the whole month, from the kickoff at the beginning of the month until the weekend just before Christmas, so they can get their pictures taken with him. They can have carriage rides, they can see the tree lighting. It just is a really, really big deal in downtown Delaware. So my daughter, when she was 1, we brought her to the tree lighting, and I was on the board, and so I was up kind of with our board showing face at the tree lighting. So another way that you're kind of a face of the organization. During our tree lighting, we ask our board members to come up and kind of let people see who they are. So I was up doing that while some friends were holding my daughter. And, you know, she's waving and yelling mommy to me. And then this past year, she stood beside me. She was good enough to kind of stand beside me. And so what we're doing at the tree lighting is I am representing the library and the board member. And so I read a story of the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, just a little snippet of it in front of the crowd, so it gives them kind of that community feeling. We have a couple more songs sung, and then we end with the whole group singing Santa Claus is Coming to Town, much like Elf, if you know that movie. So the whole group is singing Santa Claus is Coming to Town. We had a community chorus there. They kind of let us in it, and you know, my daughter's just kind of there with us as we're doing all this. So festivities wind down. It's time to go home. Like I said, I'm within walking distance of the downtown, so we were both bundled up, and I had my daughter in her stroller, and I'm pushing her down the street as we're walking back to the house. And as we're walking, I hear her going, "Better watch out, to town." And as I listen more closely, I realized that she's singing Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I hadn't been singing it to her before this point. This was the first time that she had heard this. And it's not that my daughter is a genius, but she is. But it's everyone knows their kids are genius. But it's that I'm realizing at this point that we are making memories, and we are starting traditions, and we are creating experiences that are valuable to people. And you know, Main Street's mantra is that we're creating a vibrant downtown experience. And so what I'll kind of leave you with is that you have no idea the impact that you are making on every individual. To me, that night meant the beginning of a tradition with my family, and that meant more to me than a lot of other things that you can do in your downtown. So never take what you're doing for granted. Think about the new mom and her baby who are hearing Santa Claus is Coming to Town, who are going to be walking home and singing that tonight with that memory.
That's wonderful. Do we have any questions, Pearl? If anybody has any questions, then you can type them into the question box at this time. We'd be happy to take a few questions from you if you have them. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
I'm always happy to help out with many things. If anyone wants to get in touch with me personally or Francis, our contact information is here on the last slide, and the number there is my number at the library. So if you call and Delaware County District Library answers the phone, you've got the right place. But I just absolutely, I would love to hear from any of you. I'd love to hear stories and also any questions that you have if you want to talk about them more one-on-one.
Well, thank you, Nicole, so much for everything. And as she said, feel free to contact either one of us. It's really great that we're all kind of in this network together across the state. I get the privilege of working with lots of board members now. So it's just really wonderful to be able to have somebody here in the office that can kind of give you all some feedback. And as Nicole said, feel free to reach out to any of us if you have lingering questions or if you're contemplating becoming a Main Street board member in your local community. We'd be happy to help. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending the webinar today. For our calendar of upcoming events, including our future webinars, please visit us at heritageohio.org. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.